Welcome to this week's episode of Humans in 5.
Today we'd like to chat about a flurry of studies that have blown through the news in recent years that certainly have these two desk jockeys thinking about how we work and spend a lot of our time.
A few weeks ago, a team of researchers at the University of Toronto found that people who stand for a long period of time, say 4 to 5 hours, have an increased risk of heart disease. The effort it takes to pump blood from your legs back to your heart when you're constantly standing actually puts a lot of strain on your cardiovascular system and can increase the chances of you having heart troubles down the line.
But 2 years ago, a landmark study done by a group of Canadian researchers found that sitting might be a real problem for health and well-being. Their review of 47 studies found that those who sat for prolonged periods of time had a higher risk of dying from various causes, including diabetes, cancer, and heart disease.
We sit down a lot, for hours, and often without any breaks. Sure, we walk or we cycle to work, we go to the gym and do exciting field work every now and then to get the blood flowing, but like the majority of people living in the Western world, we sit down for meals, we sit down at our desks, and we sit to read, watch movies or TV.
For a long time, health researchers figured all this sitting wasn't too bad so long as you were diligent at getting yourself to the gym and taking the opportunity to, for example, walk instead of taking the car or transit. But this review of how sitting might impact your health threw a bit of a wrench in that perspective.
This review found that sitting for long uninterrupted periods was still affecting people who exercised regularly. People who exercised didn't do all that much better than those who did very little or no exercise at all. For example, going for a run every day may not dramatically reduce your risk of heart disease if you spend 6 hours consecutively sitting at your desk afterwards.
When this paper was released, there was a wave of concern in the news about how we can counteract the problems of sitting. Now, it wasn't a surprise considering the content of these studies. Nobody likes to hear that their daily exercise might not be doing them the favors they thought, and sitting less seems like an easy fix.
Tons of companies and products emerged promising to get you off your hiney and help your health. There was the wave of standing desks, alternative chairs, and all manner of timers that reminded you to stand up for a period of every hour to minimize the dangers of sitting.
But these new studies show that we may have swung too hard the other way. If you have a standing desk, you'll just end up standing at work for hours on end, which this new research shows might be just as bad for you in the end.
So if too much sitting and too much standing are both an issue, what are we supposed to do? The best suggestion that researchers agree on is not to swap your sitting for standing or vice versa, but to break up these long periods of either sitting or standing.
It's less important whether you sit or stand, but more important that you take regular breaks to change what you're doing. For example, taking a few minutes each hour to get that blood moving may do more for your health than alternating between the gym and your desk or between sitting and standing for a few hours each at a time.
Ultimately, the best change for your health is doing something you can stick to. Whether it's taking a 3-minute walk each hour or remembering to break up TV time by doing some chores in the commercials, figuring out what works best for you will often be the choice that makes a lasting difference.
Well, we're going to go shake a leg right now, so we'll see you next time on Humans in 5.
Don't forget to subscribe!